Lightkeeper is a deconstructed lighthouse turned rainbow machine. So it's intended to draw people closer and create a moment of respite in an otherwise very busy metropolitan space. Lightkeeper is essentially a deconstructed lighthouse lens, and instead of directing light into the distance, it spreads it and refracts it in rainbow bands of light. The second aspect of the artwork is that there is a moon clock, which is sort of meant to bring people a little bit closer to nature around them. So the moon clock is a projection of the moon on the concrete, but the phases of the moon always correspond to the moon in the sky. We were aiming to do something that was a little bit more of a quiet public work. It's a work for nighttime. We come to light in a natural way. So Wayne and I have worked on many light-based artworks, and Matt and Mark were also really interested in light and phenomenology. And so that was sort of actually why we wanted to work together in the first place, was this shared interest in light and all the things that light can be and do, and the ways that it communicates really indirectly. Like the idea of a lighthouse, I think, is so fascinating because it's wayfinding, but it's also intended to ward you away. And so in that sense too, Lightkeeper is the opposite. I feel like it's more of a beacon and it draws you closer, like it's almost like a siren, you know, and like a lighthouse is like, stay back, like don't come too close, there are dangers here. But Lightkeeper is like, come closer, take a look, like see how this works. I really think that the concept of Lightkeeper was inspired so much by being in proximity to Lake Ontario. Like this is an amazing natural feature that this city has, to be this close to a giant lake like this. The original name of the piece was The Moon and the Tides, because this lake actually has tides. The water rises about 5 inches in relation to the moon, so you can see sort of the relationship between the moon and the tides, and that was the sort of foundation for the artwork. Building art for another city is always a real challenge because this isn't somewhere that we live and get to visit all the time, and so we try and draw from things that are common between many people and people beyond language barriers also. Like I think if you draw from natural phenomena, you get to sort of overlap with so many different cultures, and yeah, and it's just deeply inclusive kind of iconography. There's also a lighthouse, which is Gibraltar Point, which is about, what, like a kilometer from here?
Yeah, and the lighthouse was a big source of inspiration for this work as well, optically. It's situated on an island in the park, as a lighthouse would be situated on an island, and the waves of light that come from it actually sort of mirror the geometry of the park, so you can see it tracing some of the concrete cut lines and the planters and the benches that are built into the space. And we wanted to think holistically with the landscape architecture in that regard.
We're really curious to see how people respond to this artwork. We have some theories about how they'll sort of like physically respond to it over time. One of our theories, and we hope that this comes to pass, is that people will be impacted by the speed at which the waves are moving. And so it will make them sort of see time in the park in a different way. We imagine people jumping over the waves as they come sort of rolling across the concrete.
The potential to read this as a clock is pretty interesting to us too. Honestly, working in public space though, half of the excitement is the ways that the public interacts with your work that you can't possibly imagine. And I look forward to finding out what happens.
The other thing that I remember being really floored by when we came to sort of tour the public art collection for Waterfront was that Waterfront has declared that design excellence is one of the things that they prioritize, and that's really uncommon. And I think it's pretty lucky that there's an organization that's trying to prioritize excellence.
Yeah, absolutely.
This team has actually never worked together before. Matthew Kennedy and Mark Erickson are Studio North, and they're our collaborators on this project, and they're actually architectural designers. And so we've been doing more public artwork in the last couple of years, and they've been doing a lot of architectural design. But we were drawn together by our mutual interest in light, and so this seemed like the perfect project to collaborate on. It's really interesting when you start working on projects where you don't get to touch everything yourself. Like even having F&D Scene Changes as our fabricator, you know, they did all of the steelwork, and then Reagan Industries did all the stainless steel work, and each one of those aspects is like integral to the artwork, and yet our names get to be on it. And so I feel like it's really important to, as artists working in public space, like to recognize the collaboration that every public artwork is.
Yeah, at every level. There's the physical fabrication, and then all the administration and the logistics and construction and site preparation and planning, engineering, everything.